Hello friends, and welcome to another figure study where we are back with one more, possibly the last one, no promises, Tobot figure, and that is the Tobot V Sonic Stealth. This is the last piece of the Tobot V Master V Combiner, and he's interesting and also pointless, but we'll get to that when we get to the combination. Real quick before I get into too much, I just want to say my apologies if some things are a little awkward. I've got a new setup that I'm working with, so the color might be a little different, the camera adjustments might be a little different, and there's probably a good chance that you're hearing some background humming or buzzing of some kind. That is because it's really hot, so I've got a fan running, and long story short, our fourth floor neighbor left the water running, and it was overflowing for a half hour. And at 1 o'clock in the morning last night, we had to deal with a leak that went on for about 7 hours. So now we've got a very big fan going to kind of dry everything out. So yeah, sorry if it's a bit noisy in the background, but you're just gonna have to deal with it, because that's the only thing we can do about it. Anyway, Sonic Stealth is a bomber-looking thing. It's pretty cool. It's like a flying wing that gets the job done. I'm not super fond right off the bat of the visible screws in the top there. I know they did this because these are, this is the back of the robot for the individual robot modes, so yeah, you don't want the screws facing forward for the robot, but it's still not super great looking in vehicle mode. The colors are pretty cool. I like the primary blue with just a little bit of red accents here and there, and then some white pinstriping and detailing throughout with just like the occasional bit of gunmetal and black for the cockpit section. Yeah, I mean, there's not a whole lot to say about it. It's a flying wing. But, you know, the little detailing is nice. Little line work throughout, the flaps on the back. Some nice molding. And again, I like the red accents and the white pinstriping. The underside is pretty much just robot, but it folds away nicely so that when you tuck everything in, that doesn't really, it doesn't super read as a robot. The only thing is the head, which, according to the transformation, the head's actually supposed to be this way around, and nah. There's room to turn it around, so I just turn it around so it's at least somewhat slightly more hidden. I don't know, there's not a whole lot for me to say about this thing. It's a flying wing, and that's pretty much all you get. Size-wise, it's not bad. It's kind of in that kind of hazy Voyager-ish size that the other combination elements of Master V are. In this guy's case, he's very flat, but it's got that wingspan. Bringing in one of his combiner component buddies, here he is with Super Driller, and as you can see, he comes off looking quite a bit smaller than Super Driller. Here he is with the Tobot V rendition of Monster. So not the standalone Monster. This is just the Tobot V Master V version. Here he is with the Master V version of Rocket, which again is not the standalone. This is just for the combiner. Here he is with the Master V rendition of Speed, and that's super duper out of proportion. Not that I really mind, but yeah. And hang on a sec. And since this thing is so freaking long, I had to readjust, but yeah, here he is with Powertrain, and I feel like it's out of proportion, but at the same time, the cockpit section on Sonic Stealth does seem a little bit large, like maybe there's an entire crew in there, so I don't know, it could work. And lastly, let me readjust again real quick. And lastly, here is Sonic Stealth with the duck tank. Alright, now that the duck tank is out of the way, I think we all know what's coming. Let us start with some transforming. So, transformation on this guy is, pretty straightforward, but it is actually pretty interesting. So first, going to fold away all of his landing stuff. Let's fold that in, fold these in, and there you can see a bit more how clean the underside is. Now, going to kind of disconnect these bits here from the sides of the wings, and there are some clips down in here too that we want to pop out as well. And then we extend that up. And I always forget to do this. You actually want to, this cockpit section plugs in here. You want to disconnect that first. I always forget to do that. But I'm going to fold that up, and his little... these things are annoying. I'll talk about those more in a minute. But yeah, that popped out. So do that. Then... actually, I'll do it this way. So then we rotate these forward, like so. Can rotate this section around, and then we can finish putting the cockpit down there. Bend these down. Out a little bit. And then in here are these little bits that you pull out. Just get a nail in there and pull those out. And this gives him his toes, if you can believe that. Okay, on to the torso. So, I'm going to flip out his little hands here. And here. There we go. You kind of need to tilt this up while at the same time pulling this section down and out. And then bring that down. No, you go up. You go... okay. Like that. I'm going to try and keep this further back so you can all see what I'm doing. So pull that down, bring that up, and then we finish kind of bringing that down. Like so. That gives him his arms. And then can rotate the head around. And there we have Sonic Stealth in robot mode. And I actually quite like Sonic Stealth's robot mode. It's weird, but it's weird in a way that I think is really interesting. He's kind of a stick, but it stands apart from all the other figures in this particular team, which we'll see in a minute. And in particular, I really think it's cool how the wings just are his legs. Like, that's it. Nothing fancy. It's just, there's his leg. His leg is a wing. I think that's really cool. Color-wise, it's a lot of the same stuff. It's primarily blue with a few red accents and a little bit more white detailing. Mostly you get the pinstriping in the wings for the legs now, and then you get a little bit more of that in the forearms and on the shoulders. Again, with the red accents here and there, and then you also get a little bit of the gunmetal-y color that was used for the vents in the flying wing mode up on the shoulders there, as well as a little bit in the torso. And then, of course, you've got some white breaking it up in places like the midriff, biceps, and just outside of the shoulders, and the neck. It's an interesting design. I actually really like it. There's not a whole lot of kibble on it, aside from maybe these stupid things on the back there. And overall, it's actually really, really clean. Like, the calves are huge, but I don't mind it that much. It's kind of an interesting design element, and you actually get some pretty nifty revealed detail in there. I don't know, I think that's cool. I like the kind of mechanical bits that are being shown, and it doesn't really impede the knees that much. He's pretty darn cool in that regard. Looking at the details, the wing, or I should say the legs, are exactly the same as what we saw with the wings, with the exception of his little toesies poking out. And then there is, as I said, the revealed detail in the back there, which is really cool. The pelvis section is kind of nondescript, but I'd like that they broke it up with a little bit of red there. He's got a little kind of robotic-y detail for the midriff. Cool-looking chest. It's kind of like I guess in a way it almost has like a light armor plating kind of look. And I definitely like this red line going through here, though because it's so narrow, it doesn't pop as hard as the larger blocks of red, but still cool. And you can pretend that he has some kind of weird little, like, matrix chamber, because why not? And there is actually some detail molded on the inside there. And the shoulders, it's, Tobot V, so of course it's got the V, and that was also visible on the wingtips there. I like the gunmetal venting design that they have there, as well as the white pinstriping and red detailing on the gauntlets, I guess you could call them. And then we come to the head, which has kind of like a flight helmet look to it, which is understandable because he's a plane. It's got the goggles, got the face with the light blue eyes there. It's a little difficult to tell because of the lighting. Yeah, that's there. The light blue eyes don't stand out super hard on the white, even with better lighting. It's just how it is. It's fine though. It doesn't really bother me. Like, you could imagine that the goggles are his eyes. I think that works. But even if you don't imagine it, it still works. And the red and black for the goggles definitely stand out really nice with that helmet. As for these things on his back, I do not like these. They are necessary because of the combination, but they're not really, they don't click in place. They just hold in via friction. And it's not that difficult to bump them out of place when you're transforming him. Like, they will stay in. They're not like, like they're not going to fall out unprompted, but they're just, I kind of wish that these clicked into place. Would have been nice. Not the world's biggest problem, but just a little bit annoying. Anyway, let's move him off to the side so we can do some more size comparisons. Here he is with the Deluxe, and while the vehicle mode was probably like roughly Voyager-ish size, I feel like height-wise, robot mode is a fair bit bigger than that. Here he is with Super Driller, and while Super Driller definitely has a lot more mass to him, he's noticeably shorter. And I do think that's cool, just how tall Sonic Stealth ends up becoming. Here he is with Powertrain, and I remembered to extend his legs this time. And these two are almost the same height with, when I've got Powertrain's legs actually extended. I feel like Sonic Stealth is just a tiny bit taller at the head, but just a tiny bit. And then, of course, here he is being absolutely dwarfed by Master V himself, because, Master V is huge, so just in case you were wondering. And lastly, here he is, looking obviously much taller than the Duck Tank. And now we come to the combinations. So, just turn him back into his jet form, but first, I'm going to pop these things off. We'll deal with those later. I'm going to rotate this around, and I'll just flip these out while the flipping's good. So, get those out of the way. Fold the forearm up, and then around so that it tucks into the shoulder. Fold in the fist, and then rotate the shoulder down so that it goes in, like lines up right there. Show you from the back here. Bring that up, tuck in the fist, rotate it down. Easy. And I like to move the cockpit out of the way just so that it gives you a little bit more clearance to rotate the torso around. It's not super necessary, but it just helps. And push the feet in. Bring the legs down so that you have enough clearance to fold them out. Then rotate them up. Slide that in, and then this will clip in. You can see there's a clip there. There's a little section there, and then there will also go in. So each side, you just clip in, and that kind of rests inside little nook in the shoulder assembly. Now we accordion out the cockpit, and that pegs in, and we are ready to go. So I'm just bringing in Master V's torso because it's just a little bit easier to do it this way first. So this chunk that's sticking out here will peg into the back of this booster. So try and make sure you can see that pegs in there. And you don't have to fold these in, but I like to just kind of clean that up a little bit. Not that it matters because you don't see it at all. But yeah. And just going to angle the arm down a little bit so that it doesn't bang into the wings on the back there. And now, for these bits that pop off, they just slot into these bits on the side of the head there. So, bring that in. Hopefully, come on, there we go. Push that in, and push that in. And now he's got his head fin thingies. And I have to hold the camera pretty far back so that you can see everything here. But here we've got Master V completely combined. This is the full combination. Nothing else needs to be added. He's got powertrain feet, the super driller arms and the Sonic Stealth wing pack / ears that you can hardly tell are there. And that is kind of my big gripe with Sonic Stealth, is the fact that for the combined mode, he doesn't really add anything noteworthy. I mean, it's cool that he's complete, and I'm fine with having like the slightly more enhanced head crest thing. And I actually, bring this in closer, you can see, I like how the line of the ears, that red kind of goes, like it continues on into the chin strap and up, and it makes a much more pronounced V design for that part of the head, in addition to the one on his forehead. And that's cool. I like that. It's not exactly worth the price of getting Sonic Stealth in the first place, because you really cannot see that stealth wing on the back there. Like, if I tilt him back, you can kind of see it, sort of. But even when you're trying to like look at him from an up angle, it's not super obvious. And that's my issue with Sonic Stealth. It's just kind of unnecessary for the combination. I feel like if they had released Sonic Stealth first, like if they did the default Master V and then released Sonic Stealth instead of doing Super Driller, then it would have been a little bit, I guess, more worthwhile, because with the smaller arms, it makes it a little bit easier to see the wings on the back. But that's how they did it. So seeing them fully combined with Sonic Stealth attached, it just seems kind of superfluous. It really doesn't add much of note. The only thing that really makes a difference is, first of all, it makes him a bit more back heavy, so he likes to lean a bit more. But it only really makes a noticeable difference if you're looking at him from the back. And there you can see the big stealth wing pack attached to him, but you don't see it from the front. And that's just disappointing. I definitely appreciate the fact that his joints are strong enough to hold up all this weight, but it's kind of a bummer. It just makes Sonic Stealth seem unnecessary in the grand scheme of things. I do feel like it was worth it just to have like the whole team and stuff, and it was fun little by little getting the parts to put this guy together in his entirety, but they definitely should have done something a little bit different with Sonic Stealth. It just, yeah, it could have been better. I feel like the jet mode should have been bigger, then you'd at least be able to see it. Or maybe if it's sat up higher or lower, I don't know. Have it split and attached to the legs or something. It just, they really should have done something else with it, because the way his body is, the frame of his body in his full combined mode just completely blocks the view of those wings. I don't know if I'd say he's the strongest of the three individual combiner bots, but he's not bad. He's got a little bit more in the posability department. Definitely got more posability than Super Driller. I mean, I'm not going to get rid of him or anything like that. It's a little disappointing. But anyway, that has been my look at Tobot v Sonic Stealth. As I said, kind of disappointing, but not terrible. But what do you all think of this thing? If you've been gathering the Tobot v Master V figures yourself, have you gotten a hold of Sonic Stealth, and how do you feel about it? Or, just out of curiosity, do you think the individual robot mode is interesting enough on its own to warrant a purchase? I wouldn't be surprised. It's a really interesting robot design. Whatever your thoughts, feel free to chime in down below. I always enjoy hearing from you all. And while you're at it, also feel free to like, subscribe, or if you're feeling generous, you could buy me a coffee. Any of those things would make me a happy Rob, and remember, art is more than meets the eye.